Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 818 of Geeks in Space. I'm Rob, Commander Taco Malda, and I am joined today by the one and only Chris DeBona.
What's up?
And the one of many, Rob Roseboom.
I'm one of many?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, that's true.
You're Legion. See, that's the way I can introduce you guys from now on. The one and only and the one of many. I like that. Before we pressed stream, we spent about 5 minutes pitching about our respective smart homes and how nothing in them actually works. And I have to tell you, this is not the dream of the internet that I was promised.
No, this is not the house of the future that I was promised watching those Bugs Bunny cartoons, waiting for the school bus all those years ago.
Right.
I don't have a overzealous sweeping robot in my house.
Nope.
You know, I have a Roomba that can barely find its way around.
Yeah, my Roomba, it's like there's like a 70% chance it's going to get stuck. So in order to use the Roomba, I have to like draw specific maps of like safe areas. Don't get too close to chairs. If you get too close to a chair, you'll get stuck forever.
It's got a mental issue.
Yeah.
With the chairs.
Yeah, and there's something in my house that turns off my router, like and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's great. Everything's great, guys. All right. Well, I guess
we left off with Volkswagen, right? No,
we
did that.
We skipped
it.
Volkswagen.
But that was the Volkswagen story was just grumpy because it was what, a kid got kidnapped and Volkswagen wouldn't tell him the location.
Yeah, because they didn't pay their dues, man.
They didn't pay for their
service.
Yeah,
there's whatever.
Yeah, it's a kidnapping.
Well, they didn't pay for the service.
I know.
We're still the kidnappers didn't pay.
Yeah.
And at that point, they had to verify the driver was a member. You know,
right?
And so they asked the driver, but the driver refused to tell them. So they had to assume that this was, a non-member request. And
you can't do that. They didn't give us a $7.
Let me tell you my German Frankfurt story, which is not similar to this at all, but
I want to tell it to you.
Okay. So my wife and I, we were in Frankfurt, and it was for a flight home ish. And the sign on the gate says, flight to San Francisco. The signs in the airport say this is the gate for the flight to San Francisco, and nothing's happening. And we're like, this is weird. The app is telling us we're boarding now, but we're not boarding. So we go up to the gate lady and we're like, hey, is this the flight to San Francisco? No. It's 9 gates down the hall. I'm like,
it's a good thing you checked.
All right. So we trot on down there and they're just about to close the gate. And we're like, hold on a second. We're on this flight. And they're like, well, why were you not here? And I'm like, because the sign and the gate and the app and the web all say that this is not where we're supposed to be. And she goes, you have to realize this is Frankfurt. Things like that happen. And I said, are you going to let us on the plane or not? Are we going to fight over this right now or what? She's like, fine.
Ugh.
And you have to understand, at Frankfurt, things change very quickly. You have to be ready for it. And I'm like,
I'm unfamiliar with cities.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, are you kidding me with this shit?
I'm sorry. My homeland only got its second street light last week. I am confused by your fancy technology ways.
It was so lame. And my wife's like ready to strangle her.
Yeah,
honestly.
for sure.
And I was like, you know what? We're going to be one of those news stories. No. Let's just go on the plane, go home.
Yeah, somebody's
what we did.
videotaping
and it was
you.
a fine flight. But yeah, so I'm picturing like, no. My son's been kidnapped. But yes, but is your son the member owner?
Not in Frankfurt. You must be aware that in Frankfurt we endorse human trafficking.
I see you only got the personal plan, not the family plan. You cannot track your son.
Only your wife.
You are fine. You are fine, yes?
We will track your spouse.
Your son has been kidnapped. Well, we'll need the kidnapper to call in if they're the new guardian. No, it's my son. He's been kidnapped. No, I'm sorry, miss. We have to follow very specific European rules here.
Yeah, the EU regulations are pretty tight.
Regulations on child kidnapping.
The the kidnapper is not answering his two-factor identification. I'm sorry if we can't help you.
I just can't prove that
Sorry.
you are who you say you are.
We do live in a dystopian hellscape.
That's true.
So speaking of his dystopian hellscapes, AMD has admitted that there is a secret fuse inside of the new Threadrippers, and if it detects that you overclocked the chip, it pops.
But
And
it
that
still works.
it still works. It's just, if they decide not to handle your warranty, they now have a legal thing. Like you overclocked, dude. We can't warranty you. We popped a fuse. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, if it's still working,
It's true. Just all of the
I
technology.
think that it's. I'll be honest with you. I think that's fair.
You think it's fair?
know? I'm like, it's like if you want to overclock, that's cool. The chip lets you, but
Okay.
if you push it past its limits and you damage it,
Right.
that's kind of on you.
It's
I'm
like
alright
if
with
it-
that.
well,
You
like
know,
if you got a new Volkswagen, say, and
it's
you
got a
decided to put
Yeah,
nitrous
he's
up
yours,
to it, and
you know?
then go and complain that the engine blew. Well, I mean, yeah,
Yeah, and you needed to drive really fast to get away with that kid you just found.
yeah. Just in case customer support ends up being helpful to his parents. Outside chance.
The true enemy, customer support.
Yeah.
Oh dear God. All right. I named this episode Cetacian Revolutions because there's a dolphin with thumbs.
Are they taking out? Oh, there's a dolphin.
Yeah, there's a dolphin with a thumb. They got a picture.
This isn't more like yacht attacks by the orcas.
No, the orcas already rule us from secret.
With thumbs, huh?
Although they say it's probably not opposable or nothing.
Hitching a ride.
Yeah, it's just for getting a ride places. That's awesome. Well done. No, they got a picture, which we could screenshot if Chris is able to find it. But you are struggling
Sorry,
today,
I'm
Chris.
distracted with network configurations on a LAN cache machine. Not important.
I mean, not as important as the opposable thumbs that will eventually cause all.
Right, this is, okay. You know what? I think
It's just
I
a
think this is
mutant.
bullshit.
Dolphin
This
with
story is
tumor?
complete bullshit.
Yeah,
This is not a thumb. This is he ran into a motorboat.
on both
Except it's the
on
same
both sides.
on both feet. It's just
Well, maybe he was spinning or trying to have sex with the motorboat. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's
Oh,
okay.
there.
'Cause it's dolphin.
Besides, dolphins already use their penis to, manipulate objects in the wild.
It's true.
I mean,
true.
don't you?
Well, not in public,
Just in your office.
just during podcasts.
Thank you for keeping your camera zoomed out a little.
Yeah,
Don't go any further down. Oh, gross. Here's another one. Probably all the stories today are just about corporate garbage. GM has decided that they are not going to be supporting CarPlay.
I'm sorry. It is bare minimum what they have to do. They just won't sell cars to anyone with a phone.
I'll be right back, gentlemen.
Yeah, good luck
do it.
stirring
Go
your
stir
nuts.
your pecans.
Good luck stirring your nuts.
Is it pecan or pecan?
Pecan?
For you.
Pecan. It was pecan when I was growing up.
Pecan.
Rob is stirring a pie on Baloo. Or his pie internals. So yeah, the GM story is they're claiming it's too dangerous for there to be CarPlay in a car. So they're not gonna be supporting it in the future when everybody knows full well that they just don't want to play with another vendor having control over the in-app infotainment thing. They can't make their monies off of subscriptions if people are just logging into CarPlay. I will say straight up, when I bought my last car, I've bought one car in the last 20 years, and literally I had two requirements: 4-wheel drive and CarPlay.
Yeah, it's just stupid.
Yeah, that's insane. Now, there are the stories about, there was a chart that I was looking at recently, which was accidents, hit pedestrians or whatever. And it's like the chart takes a striking swing upwards in 2008. And the article was like, I wonder what happened in 2008. And I'm like, do you not, when did you get an iPhone? Because like that's the year that everybody switched and started using touchscreen interfaces with 24/7 on internet.
Yeah.
What do you think happened?
Oh man, it's more than that. It's I don't know. I don't know. I think it's they're gonna have just as much trouble with the Bluetooth because they're still gonna offer Bluetooth. So it's not like they're
Sure.
gonna see a change,
Right.
And
Well, and CarPlay is better than using your phone because that's all hands free.
that's right.
At least my hands are still on my steering wheel. I'm using
Yeah, but
the
you still see people driving around in modern cars going,
oh yeah, all the time.
and it's like, oh my goodness. I know to give those people room because they're idiots.
For sure.
Especially when it's me.
I'm pretty dang hardcore. If I am driving, my phone is in my pocket and it does not come out, period. And I know people who I love and care for who I watch them holding their phones while they're driving. Like, how can it's illegal in Michigan now? They passed legislation about that. But again, that's not what this is. This is
but nobody lives in Michigan.
No, that's true. This story is entirely about they want to be able to sell subscriptions through their in-car infotainment thing. And if Apple owns the screen, then they can't do that. This is just garbage. Whoever's doing that should be ashamed of themselves. And I hope you get your $53 million bonus
It's
next
like
year.
probably a neighbor of yours because you guys are in Michigan.
Yeah, we're in Michigan. A lot of auto manufacturers around here.
They told me it was your fault.
It might be. I mean, I've done a lot of really questionable things. How are the pecans doing, Rob?
Or pecans.
Yeah, is it pecan or pecan?
Pecans. They're doing good.
Cool. Well, let's see. We've got our regular Voyager 1 news update. It stopped communicating. So
Good old Voyager.
Yeah.
What did Earth do?
What did Earth do? Something with a dolphin, probably.
We got ghosted by Voyager. This is maybe how Star Trek 4 starts. We've got now that the Dolphins have thumbs, Voyager's on its own. Voyager, Star Trek 4 and Star Trek 1, it's all coming together. I guess that kind of makes sense now.
Sorry. I'm a little distracted by Debian networking right now.
It happens. It happens. Yep. They lost communication again. I think it's got some sort of failsafe where it's going to reboot. But this could be it.
She's been going pretty good.
Yeah, for a 5-year mission to last like my entire life. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And still taking software updates.
Right.
Better than Windows 10.
Right. Windows 10 is going to stop taking. I still have
a subscription. Yeah, this is what's happening. Voyager wanted to get a software update, and they're like, "I'm sorry, Voyager, you have to pay a subscription fee."
It's like, I'm sorry. In the 70s, there was no such thing. I don't have DLC.
I'm sorry. You'll have to speak with the new owners then.
Right? No, you have to pay 30% to the App Store in order to update.
That's the problem. NASA didn't want to pay the 30%.
Yep.
They wanted to switch over to the Epic Store for Voyager.
They're waiting to see how the Epic Store Google lawsuit appeals works out. That checks out.
I'm sorry, Voyager. You cannot. You should know this is how that works.
But I have kidnapped your robot son. I have a few bits of movies and media that I watched that I could talk at you about. Rob, you've probably seen some of these, and have you ever seen House of the Devil?
Not that I can remember, no.
All right, and then
I have seen lots of houses and demonic stuff, so maybe.
He's super into that.
Well, so the reason I saw this is because Greta Gerwig is in it. And it's directed by Ty West, who did X and Pearl last year.
Yeah.
I like
Pearl.
Yeah, those are both really great movies. But I went back and so I figured I'd watch some Ty West movies. And House of the Devil is pretty good. But I watched The Innkeepers, and I really liked The Innkeepers. It's a Ty West horror flick. A guy and a gal are working the last day of a hotel, like a 100-year-old hotel. It's about to shut down, and it's haunted. Or the guy runs a supernatural website, it's really good. Like just an old fashioned, straight up simple horror movie that works.
Sure.
So top marks. I recommend it. Squaring the Circle is the story of Hypnosis, the designer team that did the Dark Side of the Moon album cover and all that. And
Oh yeah, I saw that pop up on Netflix.
it's okay if you're interested in designers and like.
I mean, it's just a cover though. I mean,
they did tons of covers. It's the story of like how these designers met and then the albums they did and sort of the ridiculous excesses that they led to. I like artsy fartsy thinking, and there's lots of it in there.
And that's a really cool job to get if you can get it, right?
Right.
It's a great gig.
Right. Well, basically what it came down to is they hung
I
out in an apartment.
A lot of LP album cover jobs.
Not anymore, but back in the day.
Yeah, well, and they actually talk a lot about that because they have Noel Gallagher from Oasis talking, and he's like he's explaining that his kid was like asking him what he did today, and he said I spent all day in meetings about the cover art, and she's like, well, what's that?
Yeah.
And she's like, you mean that little tiny image that shows up in iTunes? You spent all afternoon on that? And he's like, yeah, and we spent $100,000 with the designers and the photographers and all that, and it's expensive, and the kids don't care about any of that anymore. Anyway, it's okay if you're interested in documentaries. I watched the Taylor Swift Eras tour, actually only the first 2/3 of it, and I know you guys are big Swifties.
Yeah, that's as far as I could get too. I was too choked up.
Yeah, too emotional. Once she got to the 1989 era, I mean, wow.
Yeah.
So many eras.
I'm sorry, who's Taylor Swift? No, all right.
You know who Taylor Swift. You have a daughter and a heart.
I wouldn't assume too much there, but
that's fair. I like Taylor Swift. You know that.
I mean, I watched Shake It Off and Bad Blood videos. Those were fun. No, Shake It Off is that's her.
Yeah. The other one I watched yesterday, I went to the movie theater and watched Godzilla -1.
Was it good? Nice.
Yeah.
I read the synopsis. It sounded pretty cool.
It's great.
It's supposed to be very, very good.
It is very much a Japanese Godzilla movie.
It's right after we dropped the bomb, right?
Yeah.
Right after.
Well, it kind of
it's a couple years after, I thought.
It spans several years. It's like 1944 to 1948, maybe. They put up time cards to show you the passage of time, and it follows the story of a soldier. He's a kamikaze pilot who chickened out. And so he's got like the stigma of chickening out, but also like the horror of war, and everybody's like recovering and everything. But then every now and then Godzilla shows up. But it's not like, let's have Godzilla and King Kong fight each other on an aircraft carrier.
It's much more, I heard, like the very first Godzilla.
Yeah.
Which was like, a story that you could do a story about and have characters, because that's my biggest bitch about Monarch.
Yeah.
Like, the story to -0, from what I've read at least, sounded like that could actually be a good movie. It just happens to have a giant monster in it.
Exactly.
Where Monarch more should understand why people are watching. I'm not watching it because I'm interested in the idiosyncrasies of how this secret government organization got built, although that might be interesting.
Yeah.
They just need more giant monsters.
You always need more giant monsters, but in this, there are relatively few giant monsters, but it has something to say, like about being human and PTSD and recovering from trauma. Like it's a film. It's not like it's not a movie, if you want to use the pretentious terminology. It's actually really good, and I highly recommend it. And if you do see it, I hope you see it with a big subwoofer, because the theater that I saw it in had good bass, and it was, when Godzilla makes noise, it shakes the building. And I was in the theater next to a screening of the Beyonce movie, and I could hear the Beyonce through the wall. And it was a bit weird, like during these incredibly emotional, sad scenes, like where he's like breaking down over his traumas over World War II, and you could hear through the wall Beyonce. Ugh. Can't figure out why people don't want to go to movie theaters anymore. The other one that I just saw, and I think one of you saw this, but I've been watching Bodies on Netflix.
Bodies.
It's really good.
Not Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. but
No, Bodies is different. I also really
is
like
fun.
Bodies.
That was a good.
Yeah, that's a super fun movie. The
Me looking
Pete
for it.
Davidson in that movie and
It's
Lee
hilarious. Yeah.
Pace in that movie. They're
So good.
there's a lot of characters doing a lot of actors doing really funny
Although
stuff.
Lee Pace seemed really old to be in that cast.
That was the point. He was supposed to be too old, so it was creepy that he was there.
Yeah. It's kinda
But no, Bodies is on Netflix, and it's really slow. That's my criticism against it. It's not in any hurry. But the premise is that you're in 4 different timelines or 4 different eras. It's like an 1880s, like a 1930s, a present day, and then somewhere in the future. And a body appears in an alley, and there's like a power surge, and it pops all the light bulbs in an area, and a body appears it's the same body appearing in all 4 timelines or all 4 points in time. And there's a science fiction mystery afoot. And it's really like we're 4 episodes in, and I'm really enjoying it, but it is too slow. Like it's like, come on, pick up the pace. There's there's 4 timelines, and each of them kind of has the A plot where they're investigating the mysterious body, and then the B plot where you've got like whatever their emotional drama is in that time. And half of the emotional stories, the character stories, are boring, and the other half are really interesting and good. But like when you're watching the stories you don't care about, you're like, come on, just get back to the body. Let's get back to the story.
Is the body human, or is it like a Morlock or an alien?
It's just a dude, but he's naked and he's dead, and he's got injuries and he's got a tattoo.
Two things that really stand out on a person.
Yeah, having a body.
I'd imagine
if being naked and dead.
Roseman, we're not single men, like when you're on a dating app, you indicate your mortal status, along your relationship status, like dead and dead and single, or like
undead or
alive. Yeah. Undead and looking for action,
Well, I'm immortal. I don't know if that, like, technically I'm alive forever. But I feel like I should disclose that to someone you're dating. That you're immortal.
Is it like genital herpes? You have to bring it up like before action,
right? So just so you know, I'm immortal and will outlive you and all of my lovers.
Imagine if you could choose immortality, but it comes with genital herpes. Like you can only be immortal if you have herpes or
no, thank you.
some horrible sexually transmitted disease.
Well, how horrible?
I don't know, man. It's something.
I mean, can you take pills?
I don't know.
Does it flare up once in a while?
Universe, Rob. Come on, man.
Yes, you are. You're literally
have created this universe. Yeah.
It's like the Twilight Zone episode where the guy can lives through the apocalypse, but his glasses are broken.
Right.
Like, you're immortal, but no one can see you. Or you're immortal and
So that was an episode of She-Hulk.
You're immortal, but was it?
Yeah, it was the immortal guy, and it was all of his exes.
Yeah.
Oh, that was pretty funny.
It was funny. That was one of the more enjoyable episodes. I like She-Hulk.
Yeah. It was okay. Seen worse.
People dump on it, but like half of those episodes were entertaining.
I don't know. Tatiana Maslany, she could open a mall, and I'd be
cool.
Also, I can't quite remember if a mortal man is really immortal or he just can't die.
It's an important distinction.
Well, no, he could grow old and pass away. Also, that's another thing. There was actually like old Tales from the Crypt that I read as a little kid that creeped me out because some guy wished to live forever and he got his wish, but he continued to age. So he was just this gross, old, wrinkled pile of bones at 200, and he had been thrown in prison for life. So
that's a long time. That's kind of like a lot of the vampire mythos will do that, right? Like where like the original vampire is thousands of years old, so he's just like a gross husk.
Yeah.
They did that on What They Do in the Shadows, and they did that on Buffy. They did that a lot. I like.
So I don't know. Some sort of horrible disease to live forever. I guess it depends on if it could be cured at some point, and if you could take medication for it.
I have to stir your pecans again.
No, I'm good.
How are your
Like
nuts?
you're immortal, but you have to keep stirring the pie
You ca-
every 7
yeah.
minutes.
Is that like
Oh,
the
then
snail?
no way.
You don't want to
I'm not. It was terrible enough in Lost where they had to keep running down there and
type in the
putting
number.
in the code, right? If you had to do something every 7 minutes,
Yeah.
you'd end
Yeah,
it.
that's hell.
Yeah.
That
Sorry,
mean-
world. Guess the smoke monster's getting out.
What if you can take it with you, like it's on an iPad or on like a GM car dashboard, because it can't work with
then
CarPlay.
I guess you would never buy another GM car again.
That's true. If you don't, the car dies.
Like
But
this is
it's
really keeping the
for
world
airport,
alive.
You don't know the gateway. No.
They come and take your
You don't
kid.
understand. I have to put this in or everything explodes. GM, you live on this. The world.
I'm sorry, you're going to have
world.
to discuss this with the
With quality assurance.
Yeah.
I cannot verify your membership.
You did not pay the 30% App Store fee. Oh,
Sorry,
dear God.
Voyager.
Sorry, Voyager. We lost you.
All right. I think that should be where we end.
I think you're probably right. Goodbye, Rob Roseboom.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Rob Roseboom.
Goodbye.
I'm not
Goodbye,
Rob
Rob Roseboom.
Goodbye.
No, see, because
I
he's
could do this
Legion.
forever.
He's Legion.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Chris
Oh,
Savona.
right. Later.
That was episode 818 of Geeks in Space. I was Rob Commander Taco Maldo. We'll see you next time. Bye.